Well, Alberta is having a referendum, and when I saw that this morning when I was looking at the news, it is not the referendum that we all thought was coming. Yeah, oddly enough, when you see Alberta and referendum, the first thing you think is uh, a referendum on Alberta separation or Alberta independence. But when I asked ChatGPT this morning, the top news story of the day, Alberta is planning to hold a referendum on immigration. So a few of the lines that I prepared prior to going live, Alberta is preparing to ask voters a direct question: should the province take control over immigration from Ottawa? Premier Danielle Smith says federal immigration levels are straining housing, healthcare, and services. Ottawa says immigration is a national responsibility. So I would love to know your thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Should Alberta be in charge of the should the provinces, all the provinces, be in charge um, of their own immigration policies? I would love to know. So I would love to know what you think. So join the chat. Feel free to jump up into the chat anytime. So we're going to look at, can Alberta legally do this, and why this could reshape federal-provincial power in Canada. Because once provinces start voting on federal powers, the rules of the game change. Immigration is shared jurisdiction in theory. Under the Canadian Constitution, immigration is listed as a shared power between the federal government and the provinces. That means provinces can pass laws related to immigration as long as they don't conflict with federal law. In practice, though, Ottawa sets national immigration targets. Ottawa controls visas, permits, and permanent residency. Ottawa decides who can enter the country. So while provinces handle services and integration, the federal government controls the gatekeeping. Provinces deal with the consequences of immigration. Ottawa controls the tap. And now the next point is the big point of contention for all of Canada, not just Alberta. And I know that we've been on quite the Alberta kick this week with the live streams. That's just the way that it's worked. I'm not trying to pick on Alberta or hate on Alberta. I love Alberta. Alberta's a beautiful province. I love visiting there. I love it every time I've ever been there. I've loved all of my extended stays in Alberta. Anytime I've had a chance to stay there for longer than just a day or two, it's been amazing. So sorry, like I was saying, this next one is the big point of contention: the temporary foreign workers, where Alberta feels the strain first. Alberta relies heavily on temporary foreign workers for agriculture, construction, energy services, and hospitality. However, the government decides how many workers are approved, which sectors qualify, and how fast applications move. Alberta argues it has limited say, even though workers live in Alberta, use provincial health care, and compete in local housing markets. What Alberta wants. They want more say over the numbers, faster approvals for specific industries, flexibility during labor shortages. The workers arrive federally, but the pressure lands locally. Number three, and another one that we've seen right across the country, not just in Alberta, but international students, a quiet population surge. International students are federally approved, but they rent housing, use transit, access health services, and often stay permanently. Alberta says Ottawa approves student numbers without coordinating with provinces, doesn't align approvals with housing or campus capacity. And I think we've seen that not just in Alberta, but again, right across the country with, the housing crisis and basically just the supply of housing not keeping up with the demand, obviously. And why this matters now: student numbers have surged nationally. Urban housing markets are already tight. Provinces pay many downstream costs. And what Alberta wants, they want caps or coordination tied to capacity, more provincial say in approvals, better alignment with labor needs. Students come in as temporary, but their impact is permanent. Point number 4, settlement capacity, the hidden cost. So the settlement includes language training, job placement, healthcare access, schooling for children. So while Ottawa funds some programs, the provinces deliver most services, pay for the infrastructure, absorb long-term costs, and Alberta argues immigration levels aren't aligned with housing supply, outpace healthcare expansion, and strain the education system. Immigration targets should match what provinces can realistically absorb. Yeah, so like I said, again, jump up into the chat. Let me know what you think of all of these key issues, temporary foreign workers, whether Alberta should be holding this referendum on immigration, what it means. I am going to pull up the CBC article today. If I can, I'm using StreamYard today instead of Restream, so I'm not as versed with StreamYard. I usually do use Restream, so I'm just going to take a second longer here to get the article. I think that okay, hold on, I'm almost there. Bear with me here. What I need to find the page. There it is. Okay, so now I can share the screen, I believe. There we go. Okay. So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith announces fall referendum on immigration and constitutional questions with a televised address. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith speaks in this photo taken from a televised address aired on February 19th. So this was yesterday, from a handout video posted on Government of Alberta's YouTube channel. Premier Danielle Smith wants to hold a referendum in October on measures to limit immigration to Alberta and changes she believes would give the province more rights under the Constitution. In a 13-minute televised address Thursday evening, Smith said she wants Albertans to vote on 9 questions on October 19th. She said the subject of each question was based on what Alberta Next panel heard the most when consulting with Albertans during town halls and through written submissions last year. The fact is, Alberta taxpayers can no longer be asked to continue to subsidize the entire country through equalization and federal transfers, permit the federal government to flood our borders with new arrivals, and then give free access to our most generous in the country social programs to anyone who moves here, Smith says. So again, that contentious point of equalization, the equalization payments always seem to be a very large, like I said, point of contention with Alberta primarily. And as we covered in the last few, especially I think it was last night's live stream, definitely a reason for that, and I definitely understand that reason. So yes, definitely understand. So again, please feel free to jump up in the chat and let me know your thoughts. I would love to know what people are thinking. I would love to know what people are thinking on the idea of Alberta controlling their own immigration policy. And again, this article you can find just on cbc.ca, so I'm not going to read it all because obviously you can go and read it yourself if you would like to. But I am going to read this next line. This is not only grossly unfair to Alberta taxpayers, but also financially crippling and undercuts the quality of our healthcare, education, and other social services. So again, that is a quote from Danielle Smith. And stop sharing that and come back to my notes that I had prepared earlier. Let's just switch this. Like, comment, and subscribe. That's the obligatory. You have to say that at any time in YouTube. Need to hide that for a second. we'll put that on there for a few minutes. Alberta plans immigration referendum. So population growth pressure. Why immigration is colliding with capacity. And we all know it's the housing shortages. Alberta's population has grown rapidly, driven by interprovincial migration, international immigration. Housing supply, however, hasn't kept pace. And we know it's like that right across the country. It's not just Alberta. Rental vacancy rates are tight. Home prices have risen sharply. New builds take years, not months. And again, I'll repeat it again. It's the same across the country. This isn't just an Alberta-only problem. This is a Canada-wide problem. Immigration levels are set federally, but housing is provincial and municipal. People arrive faster than homes can be built. And we've seen that. We've seen that everywhere. Healthcare wait times. Every new resident needs a family doctor, emergency services, hospital access. Alberta's health system was already under strain before recent population growth. ER wait times have increased, doctor shortages persist, rural services are stretched. So again, this is not just an Alberta problem. We see this everywhere in every province across the country, but Alberta planning to hold the referendum on immigration are poised to do something about it for themselves if Ottawa isn't going to take control, is what I'm taking from this. So Ottawa increases immigration targets, but provinces are left to scale healthcare systems with limited lead time. Healthcare capacity can't expand overnight. And then the next one, similar school capacity. More people means more children in classrooms, more pressure on teachers, more demand for school construction. School boards face overcrowded classrooms, delayed capital funding, staffing shortages. Parents feel these impacts immediately, long before policy debates catch up. Classrooms feel immigration policy long before election cycles do. So yeah, again, this is not an Alberta-only problem. This is a nationwide problem, but Alberta is the only province that's planning on taking matters into their own hands as of this point in time. So political timing. Why is this happening now, not 5 years ago? And part of that reason is because we right now have a federal minority government. A minority government relies on every single seat, avoids major confrontations, is more vulnerable to political pressure. Alberta sees an opening. A referendum creates leverage. Ottawa must respond carefully. National unity debates carry risk. So again, going back to the referendum that we all thought that Alberta was going to call, it's easier to push Ottawa when it doesn't have a majority. And I'm sure that's true, right? The provinces can push a minority government much more than they can push a majority government in Ottawa. Rising provincial assertiveness across Canada, provinces are challenging federal authority, asserting jurisdiction, testing constitutional limits. This isn't unique to Alberta. And I've been saying that for this entire live stream so far, is everything that we're seeing happening in Alberta in the news just in this last 24 hours is not unique to Alberta. This is nationwide, but Alberta is again, they're the ones taking the reins and trying to do something themselves. It reflects a broader frustration with centralized decision-making. Alberta doesn't want to be the only province absorbing growth without control. Provinces aren't asking nicely anymore, they're asserting. Now, the interesting thing here too, when it comes to immigration policy, is Quebec has set a precedent, meaning Quebec already selects most economic immigrants, controls language criteria, and negotiates directly with Ottawa. And of course, Alberta's argument is if Quebec can do this, why can't we? Now, the important distinction here is Quebec achieved this through negotiation, not referendums. However, Quebec shows it's possible, but not simple. And then there's always the backdrop of the Alberta-Ottawa tensions, which seems there's always been the Alberta versus Ottawa tensions, right? The deeper backdrop to the referendum. Energy policy, yeah. You know, we're going to dive into Alberta's energy policy when it comes to anything related to them versus Ottawa, right? Alberta's economy depends heavily on energy. We know this. Tensions include pipeline approvals, emissions caps, regulatory delays. It feels like I'm repeating a lot of what I went over in last night's live stream, or the night before's live stream. The last 2 days, I know the last 3 days in a row now, we've been talking about Alberta. Hopefully we'll have some new or different news over the weekend and going into next week, so we can not that I love talking, like I said, I love talking about Alberta. I love Alberta, but maybe we can cover some other areas of the country in the next few live streams over the next few days. But we will keep going with Alberta today. Many Albertans feel federal policies limit provincial economic growth, prioritize other regions, ignore local realities. So prioritize other regions too is, again, this goes back to the equalization payments, where Alberta has always resented sending equalization payments, basically sending money to Quebec is the way they see it. And for the most part, that's what it is. When you look at that map that I showed a few nights ago in a different live stream, the amount of money that Quebec receives from equalization payments, I think it was something like 13.6 billion. Absolutely insane numbers, by far the largest amount of any province that receives an equalization payment. Immigration adds population pressure without addressing economic constraints. And then climate is another part of this bigger picture as well. The federal climate policy has the emissions caps, the clean fuel regulations, and net zero timelines, where Alberta argues these disproportionately affect its economy, limit job creation, and conflict with provincial priorities. Climate policy becomes part of a broader control versus autonomy debate. And okay, here are my notes from equalization resentment. Equalization is a longstanding flashpoint. Many Albertans believe they contribute more than they receive. Federal decisions benefit other provinces, and Alberta is treated unfairly. Immigration pressure plus fiscal resentment equal political volatility. It's not just policy, it's a feeling of imbalance. This referendum isn't about immigration alone. It's about control, capacity, and trust between Alberta and Ottawa. And I think we know that trust has faded greatly. But again, like I said, guys, please feel free to jump up in the chat. That is sort of all of the prepared notes that I had for this live stream. I know last night I kind of went on and on and on. I am hoping to get more people jumping up into the chat. So let me know, should provinces have more say over immigration levels? And while you're thinking about what to type into the chat, I'm going to try to pull up another I'm going to try to pull up some more things here. Hopefully I can find some recent posts on X about the Alberta immigration, if Alberta immigration referendum. It's possible. We'll see. So, okay, just give me a second again where I share the screen. Share screen. I've got to, there we go. And share. And now I need to come back here and put that up there. Okay, so we're on X here now. And from Table Salt, if you're on X, you will know that this person, over 100,000 followers and very opinionated. Alberta Premier Smith announces a fall referendum on immigration to Alberta. Immigration has flooded our hospital rooms and classrooms and social support. There are 140,000 students in the English as a second language classes. So let's take a look.
100,000 people in adding 600,000 people in 5 years is like adding half the city of Calgary or Edmonton in 5 years. Although sustainable immigration has always been an important part of our provincial growth model, throwing the doors wide open to anyone and everyone across the globe has flooded our classrooms, emergency rooms, and social support systems with far too many people, far too quickly. As just one example, our student population has skyrocketed by more than 80,000 students in just the last 4 years, and more than 140,000 students now having English as their additional language. Is it any wonder that our teachers and students are struggling so much with classroom complexity and crowding? Adding 600,000 people in 5.
So yeah, that's major, right? Adding 600,000 people to a province the size of Alberta, basically just over 2 million, and basically that's 1 million in Calgary and 1 million in Edmonton, and then a few 100,000 spread out through the rest of the province. So that is significant growth, and I can understand how they can feel they can't handle that many people all at once. Danielle Smith, from her, that is a very old post. I'm not sure why this is coming up. That's from 2023, nearly 3 full years ago. Oh, this is where she's welcome home to 51,000 new Albertans. And then from February 13th, Alberta sends billions more to Ottawa than it gets back. Independence means up to 46% lower taxes, 47 billion a year invested here, control over immigration and no carbon tax, unleashing 14 trillion in resources, stop funding Ottawa's corruption, build Alberta strong and free. Alberta, a nation of prosperity. And I mean, I think we know we can argue this from the other side as well, but we're not covering that. We are covering the Alberta immigration policy or pending policy changes today. And again, I would love to know your thoughts. Please feel free to jump into the chat. Jeffrey Rath, 23,000 followers. AB Danielle Smith announces an immigration crisis. This is from 6 hours ago. Her bold plan, talk about it for 8 months and then hold a vote in October to determine if it's really a problem. It's the equivalent of watching your house burn down, and instead of calling 911, you decide to talk about it for 8 months so you can vote on calling the fire department. Even the most ardent Danny fan has to agree that is not what leadership looks like. There needs to be an immediate announcement of a $50,000 per temporary worker visa bond requirement to be paid by employers to offset health and education costs. Alberta independence is the only way forward. Dear Canada, it's over. We're taking back what's ours. We carried more than our share. You ignored our voice. You spent our wealth without our consent. We're reclaiming our industries, our policies, our future. We wish you luck. We're done here. The people of Alberta. Okay. From the National Post, Quebec controls immigration, runs its own pension plan, and can even rewrite the Constitution if it feels like it. First reading, all the neat stuff Quebec can do, but Alberta can't. And then that links to a National Post article. Blaine Badiuk, 3,000 followers. Section 95 of the Constitution is clear. Provinces may make laws in relation to immigration, and the federal government may from time to time. Alberta has every constitutional right to control immigration, agriculture, and immigration, concurrent powers of legislation respecting agriculture, etc. In 95. In each province, the legislature may make laws in relation to agriculture in the province and to immigration into the province, and it is hereby declared that the Parliament of Canada may from time to time make laws in relation to agriculture in all or any of the provinces, and to immigration into all or any of the provinces, and any law of the legislature of a province relative to agriculture or immigration shall have effect in and for the provinces as long and as far only as it is not repugnant to any act of the Parliament of Canada. Okay, that's a lot of words. Harrison Faulkner, nearly 90,000 followers. Throwing the doors wide open to anyone and everyone across the globe has flooded our classrooms, emergency rooms, and social support systems with far too many people far too quickly. So yes, and we'll stop sharing that now. Again, that's just some of the more recent things we've seen on X throughout the day, some of the latest posts. Again, definitely need people to jump up into the chat. I appreciate you being here. I do want to know your thoughts on an Alberta referendum regarding the immigration policy, Alberta planning to hold a referendum in October. And again, very far away, like that one post was pointing out. It's like watching your house burn down for 8 months and then voting on whether to call the fire department. That was kind of entertaining. And while I'm hopefully waiting here for a comment, I just want to thank everyone who has supported these live streams by sending a super chat or a super sticker using the cash icon in the YouTube window, chat window. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So thank you to everyone who has ever done that. It's very, 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 very much appreciated. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then again, I'm just going to put this up here to, let us know your thoughts. Feel free to join the chat, because as always, I like to keep these live streams going as long as I can. But in order to do so, I definitely need people in the chat. I always say it, you guys hear me say it every day, that these live chats are 110% better. These live streams are 110% better when there's interaction with the audience, when people are joining the chat and there's some back and forth. It's very it makes it a better viewing experience for you, and it makes it so much better for me as well, knowing that people are engaged with the topic of the day. So if anyone wants to jump up and join the chat, that would be great. And if not, I will probably end the live stream short again. As always, I do set aside about an hour of my time each day, and I am willing to go longer than an hour as well if the chat is lively. So the topic being the Alberta referendum on immigration that was called today. So that's been the topic of today's live stream. And that is probably going to end the live stream, though. Unfortunately, like I keep repeating it. I definitely need people to join the chat. So, okay, guys, I will see you again tomorrow between 4:30 and 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'm not sure what tomorrow's topic will be, because every morning I just type into ChatGPT or into Grok, what is the top Canadian political news story of the day, and then I try to form the live stream topic around that for that day. So that's sort of where the live stream is probably going to end now, as I do see a few more people joining. Unfortunately, like I say, I can't just do these unless there are people in the chat as well, and we can actually have some discussion. So I will see you all again tomorrow. Again, just another quick reminder to hit that like and subscribe. The obligatory YouTube, hit like and subscribe. And if you're watching the replay, throw a comment down there as well. I always do reply to the comments. And again, I see more people joining, but nobody joining the chat, which is unfortunate. So that is where we will end today's live stream, and I will see you again tomorrow.